Hi guys, welcome to another video. My name is Matti, this is Thomas, and as you can see today we are shooting some handheld low light photos and we might even have some tips for you, so stick around.
Exactly.
But first things first, Thomas here recently got rid of some Fuji cameras, and what did you get? You got a Sony
A7C Mark II. I got rid of just one Fuji camera, not all of them.
But now that you finally got a real camera instead of those retro toy-looking Fujis, I have a little present for you.
Oh.
Check this out.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Whoopa.
It's a lens. It's not an expensive lens, but I have two 40mm lenses for my Sony, so I don't need that one. It's practically brand new lens, and I hope you enjoy it.
I surely will. Thank you very much.
No problem. No problem.
Thank you.
I was, of course, joking about those Fuji cameras. Fuji cameras are super nice.
Yes, they are.
Yes, I have owned some Fuji cameras in the past.
You should own again.
Yeah, maybe one day. I have nothing against any brand of cameras, so if there are some Fuji fanboys out there, please do not leave angry comments down below. But hey, Thomas, what was the reason? Why did you get rid of what was the camera you got rid of? It was...
I got rid of a Fujifilm X-T5. It's an amazing camera, but the autofocus is not on par with Sony.
Yeah, but nothing is.
Nothing is.
When it comes to autofocus,
yeah.
Sony is the best.
Yeah, Fuji had a lot of problems with the autofocus during the last year. Every update seemed to make it worse.
Yes, that's pretty incredible, actually.
Yeah, the latest one made it again on the same level as it was first when the camera was released, I think. And it's quite good. It's actually quite good, but it's not Sony level.
Yeah. Okay, so that was the main reason.
Yeah, and also low light. I shoot so much during the winter time when it's really dark, so I needed something to get more out of the images, dynamic range.
All right, makes sense. Shall we get going and get some low light photos?
Let's
and
go.
Some tips for you guys too.
Exactly. Let's go take some photos.
Yeah, let's go. I promised you, or we promised you some tips. And by the way, yes, my camera today is my trusty Sony A7 Mark IV with the 40mm f2.5 lens, the Sony G lens. And this is essentially the same camera as the A7C Mark II. At least when it comes to the end result and shooting, it's essentially the same thing. That is a little bit more compact. But anyway, you can start. What is your first tip today for low light handheld shooting?
Even though it's low light, the light is still the most important thing.
Of course.
You have to search for a good source of light.
And in the city, there's always light,
like here.
Yeah, like here right now.
There's a really strong light coming here.
And if you go into the forest, no light, you can't take pictures if there's no light.
Well, you can always go and shoot the flash in someone's face, but I do not recommend that, especially in the dark, because then you are quite obvious you took the photo.
Yes.
But if that's your style, that's okay. But there's so many sources of lights in the city. Advertisements,
shop windows,
the headlights of a car. You can find them if you just look for them. And I try to find a nice source of light, and then I wait for someone to walk past the source of light.
Yeah, or into the light.
Into the light.
Yeah. I've seen you have a lot of that type of pictures.
Yeah, I do that a lot.
My first tip, the second tip of this video is that no tip is actually useful if you don't go out and start shooting and properly test what works for you, because the same tip doesn't work for everyone. And by properly, I mean if you hear or see a great tip in this video, for example, you should follow the tip and maybe make, 3-4 low light photo walks trying out that specific tip or settings or whatever we are saying here. And then after that you can finally conclude if that works for you or not. If you just watch a lot of tips here on YouTube, but you never go out and actually properly try them, more than three frames. That's my main point, that you should always go out and explore and experiment. You forgot already.
Okay. All right.
That was weird.
that was weird. Yeah, I was just about to say that. For example, tonight it's a bit rainy, a little bit of cold drizzle, windy, and it's dark and cold, and it's.
I can say it's not pleasant to be out here.
It's not that pleasant, but nice photo. Yeah, it's not that pleasant to go out right now, but still, it's worth it if you just go and experiment, try these tips.
Yeah,
it's really worth it.
Usually so-called bad weather can be a really good weather for photography, and many times bad weather works nicely if you just go out and...
And my second tip is actually to make use of the reflections. There's a like shiny glass, there's shiny puddles, which is really nice.
Yeah, reflections are really nice. And sometimes if it's a window and there's something behind the window, so the reflection and the scene behind the window, it almost makes like a double exposure type of picture.
I do that a lot.
Yeah, I've seen that. I also like to do that. So it's a great tip in my opinion. Tuomas, now you've been shooting on your brand new Sony for a few days or a couple of weeks. How do you find it?
I really like it. I wouldn't say that if you own a Fuji, you have to change to full frame right now. I was thinking about it for 3 years before I jumped the ship. And I still have some of my Fuji cameras. I'm not gonna sell those, but I think the low light performance is slightly better. The dynamic range is slightly better. The autofocus in like dark conditions, that's quite a lot better. I think I can obtain the focus now way quicker, and especially the continuous autofocus is more reliable.
So all in all, you're happy?
I'm happy exchanging my X-T5 for this.
All right.
But I'm not gonna let all my Fujis go. I still love the Fuji system.
My next tip is learn to know your camera and learn to know your IBIS. If your camera has IBIS or any kind of stabilizer your camera lens combo has. And practice and to find out what is the longest shutter speed that you can comfortably handhold and keep the camera steady. Because if you're not trying to stop movement or motion in your shots, then it's fine to use quite long shutter speeds. You can at the same time keep your ISO levels low and get the best possible image quality, right?
Yeah, right, and then you can also use a smaller aperture as well.
Yes, if necessary, you can stop down a little bit and get more depth of field if necessary. Sometimes it's necessary.
And a little bit of motion blur can actually make a really nice effect.
Yes, it can. Your next tip?
Camera settings.
Camera settings.
Yes.
Very important.
I usually shoot in low light with a lens that has a maximum aperture is 1.4 or 1.8.
That's 1.8.
Yep. And or I think 2.8 is the minimum.
2.8.
2.8 is the minimum.
I have 2.5. Yeah, barely enough.
Barely enough.
By your standards.
And then auto ISO, maximum 6400 ISO.
I sometimes let it go up to 12,800.
Well, with the full frame camera, it's not a problem. And the shutter speed, 1/16th of a second to 250 of a second, I would say. Something between that.
Well, I sometimes use also longer shutter speeds if there's no moving, or I don't mind if there's some movement in the picture.
If you want the motion blur, why not?
If somebody is walking right towards you,
then it's
1/60 might be enough, so sure. It's good to understand. But if someone is walking across the frame, then usually you need like 1/250 to freeze the action, or maybe even a little bit faster, depending on how fast the person is walking.
Yeah.
I think if you have little experience with this kind of photography, first started with a wide-angle lens because a wide angle is easier to hold steady and easier to get sharp results if you are after sharp results. It's easier to handhold a wide angle. You don't need to go super wide, but I have a 40. But let's say I have
a 35 now.
Yeah, if I had a 24, it's a lot easier to hold steady than the 40, for example.
And if you want to do something more abstract, then like a longer focal length is better, maybe 75, 85.
Yeah, you get a little bit of that compression and narrow angle of view, but it's harder to hold steady.
It is.
That's all we have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope this was at least a little bit useful. And please do remember to check out Thomas's Instagram feed. There's some great stuff there. And hope to see you next time.
Please like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. And thanks. Until next time.
See you guys.